respect to Tim Bradley, you know, for telling the truth. No more Shakur meat riding that's going on. I respect Tim Bradley for kind of telling it how it is, how he really feels now that Shakur Stevenson may be leaving Top Rank. It seems like he's declining that $15 million deal with Top Rank for 5 fights, assuming, you know, Shakur would probably get paid around $3 million per fight. Tim Bradley's talking about how maybe it's not so one-sided of a fight in favor of Shakur Stevenson, because when Shakur was with Top Rank and ESPN, Tim Bradley kind of had to promote Shakur Stevenson as that guy that's going to beat Gervonta Tank Davis. It was his job. And now that Tank and Shakur, it could be a fight down the line. I don't see it happening, you know, immediately. But for Tim Bradley to go out on the record and say stuff like, now he can kind of tell his truth about how he really feels about Shakur Stevenson. He even said that Shakur should probably stay with Top Rank, because even though there are guys like Oscar De La Hoya, Manny Pacquiao, Terrence Bud Crawford, these guys have all left Top Rank eventually, but the thing is that they were already superstars, and Tim Bradley's kind of arguing that Shakur's just not that same exciting superstar that all of those other guys were, and I feel like he may be leaving Top Rank a little bit too soon. And this is something that I even said in other videos, that I feel like Shakur wouldn't be doing such a bad thing by re-signing with Top Rank, because I feel like they've actually done a pretty good job of promoting him. I think it's on Shakur Stevenson to promote himself outside of the ring as well. Guys like Ryan Garcia do it. They're interesting and entertaining outside of the ring, and you have guys like Gervonta Tank Davis who, you know, just like Ryan Garcia, has an exciting fighting style and at the same time is exciting outside of the ring. And they have personalities and they showcase that in every interview they do. Where Shakur Stevenson, as good as he is in terms of a skill set, maybe not that same exciting or superstar fighter that maybe he should be with the skills, but it's just his particular style isn't for everybody. Not everybody appreciates what Shakur Stevenson does in the ring. I appreciate it, but I also understand that it may not be the most exciting things for fans who really value that knockout, those stoppages, and I value that too. I just think that Shakur Stevenson, he's a different kind of fighter. He's not that kind of guy that's going to go after guys and try to stop him. He's just not going to do it. You know, he may try at some points, but I feel like in the fight against Artem Hardatounian, he didn't step on the gas like I think he could. I think he, you know, held back a little bit because he just didn't want to get caught with something silly. And it makes sense, because why would you get in an exchange and try to stop the guy and give him, you know, kind of like a bailout to potentially land something big? So I understand Shakur's style. I understand his thought process. I just, you know, like Tim Bradley, have concerns that as good as Shakur Stevenson is, Tank is going to figure you out to a point where he finds that weakness and he's going to try to exploit it. And for Shakur Stevenson, he doesn't like getting hit. That's not really a secret in the sport of boxing. And no one should want to get hit. Nobody wants to get hit, but also a lot of fighters, they're not scared of it either. They're not scared to eat a shot, to land a shot. And Tank is one of those fighters that's not afraid of taking a shot to get a shot off. And Shakur Stevenson, I don't think is willing to do that. And, you know, Tim Bradley, alongside guys like Terrence Bud Crawford, have called out Shakur Stevenson, but Shakur respects Terrence Crawford so much to the point where he's willing to accept that criticism from a guy like Bud, but not willing to accept it from a guy like Tim Bradley. And I understand maybe Tim Bradley has said some other stuff about Shakur Stevenson now that he's leaving Top Rank, and maybe that Shakur is not happy with that, but I also agree with Tim Bradley. You know, I've had, you know, difference of opinions with Tim Bradley, and that's only natural, but I do respect him kind of telling it how it is, saying that Tank does have a good chance of beating Shakur Stevenson. He could see, you know, Shakur losing to Tank, getting stopped by him, because without having that killer, without having that ability to say, you know, I can fight too and not just box, that puts you in a little bit of trouble in a matchup with a guy like Tank, who, like Tim Bradley said, he can smell blood. You know, he knows and can find out what you're afraid of, and then he's going to attack that right at the source. So for me, I think that, you know, I agree with Tim Bradley in a lot of his comments. I'm not going to say I agree with everything, but in terms of, you know, that general opinion of you know, seeing Tank win this fight because of the power and because Shakur Stevenson may not have that healthy balance between offense and defense, I agree with that. I agree with you know, him also giving Shakur his flowers. I think Shakur is a great fighter, one of the best defensive fighters I've ever watched. And yeah, you guys can compare him to guys like Pernell Whitaker, guys like Sugar Ray, guys like Floyd Mayweather, but he's his own fighter. You know, Shakur's a very defensively minded fighter, and I also have concerns about, you know, that finding that healthy balance between defense and offense. You know, you can't only be a defensive fighter, because fighting a guy like Tank, and that's obviously the fight we inevitably all want to see, he's going to have to find a balance between defense and offense. He obviously, I don't expect him to fight Tank the same way he fought Artem, but, you know, you're going to have to let your hands go. And when you do that, are you going to be able to avoid those shots at the same time? Is your defense going to be as good? Because naturally, when you're letting your hands go a little bit more, you're also going to have to, you know, open yourself up. And how will that impact a guy like Shakur Stevenson? Is he still going to be able to have all that head movement and evade all those shots how we're used to seeing him do? Or, you know, are we going to see him get touched up? Because if he gets touched up by Tank, this is a guy where, you know, even though he doesn't try to throw something hard, it's more about the placement and the precision of Tank's punches that you have to worry about, because he is accurate and he does know how to set a trap. So it's not just like he has power, it's more so he's going to set a trap for you, and then inevitably if he catches you at the wrong time and catches you slipping, then you're in trouble. Like just the same way Ryan Garcia caught Devin Haney. You know, sometimes you get timed in these big fights where, you know, you're facing a big puncher, even though you're a pretty solid defensive fighter. And I know that Shakur Stevenson, at least in my opinion, is a better defensive fighter than Devin Haney is, but I would argue that Devin's better offensively. You know, you have to be careful of the timing of these guys, because they're known punchers for a reason, because time and time again, no pun intended, that these guys know how to literally pick that perfect moment and land a big shot. You know, they're no stranger to that. But for the first time, Tank's not going to be dealing with a guy that's, you know, just coming after him. He's going to be fighting a guy that's on the back foot and is trying to keep his distance from Tank. So how is Tank going to close in on that distance? I just think throughout 12 rounds, Tank's going to find a way to close that distance. And when he does, he's going to land something big. And as good as Shakur Stevenson is defensively, I just don't see him going 12 rounds without getting, you know, cracked with something big that changes the course of the fight. So I got to lean towards Tank right now. He's got to be the favorite, but it's definitely a close fight. You know, it could go either way for sure. But for me, I just think that the power is what is throwing me off and makes me believe that Tank edges this fight out in a stoppage win. I think it could be a very competitive fight. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Shakur gets that decision, but I think right now I'm favoring Tank by stoppage, a late stoppage. I think as good as Shakur Stevenson is, it's going to be one of those scenarios where he looks good, you know, early in the fight and even in the middle rounds of the fight, but towards the later rounds, he's going to have more trouble sustaining it when, you know, Tank inevitably turns up the heat in that kitchen. It's just, Tank's a very special fighter right now, and I just don't think he's beatable at 35 or 40. I think he's the best fighter, you know, pound for pound, no matter what people say. I just think he's up there right now. I'm not saying he's on Terrence Crawford's level. I don't think he's on Inouye's level pound for pound just yet, just because of the level of opposition that he's been facing. But he's gonna get there. It's more so, you know, getting in the ring and taking those big opportunities. We can't just say Tank beats Lomachenko, he's gonna have to do it. We can't just say Tank beats Shakur, he's gonna have to get in the ring and do it. But Shakur Stevenson's a great fighter as well. He deserves to be in that pound for pound status as well. It's just he's not that killer that excites a lot of fans, and you know, it's fine. You don't have to be that killer. If that's what's important to Shakur Stevenson, just getting the win by any means necessary, that's fine. But if he also can't complain about not getting so much money when maybe a lot of people don't find your style, you know, exciting. I find it exciting. I would watch Shakur Stevenson on pay-per-view. I'd pay for a Shakur pay-per-view fight if it's against Tank or if it's against Lomachenko, but other than that, I don't think I would pay a pay-per-view for Shakur Stevenson if it's not against one of those big fights, because I just feel like, you know, you can expect him to do his thing, as opposed to, you know, a guy like Tank. Even though he may be fighting a name that's not that popular, we know that he's going to put on a performance where, you know, you're not going to want to miss it, because it's going to end up on ESPN, it's going to end up on Sports Center the next day. And I just think, you know, Tank's just in a different mode right now. I think he's one of those dangerous guys that you should stay away from if you have the chance. And I'm not saying Shakur is going to do that. I think he's going to take that fight, but I don't think he's going to take it, you know, anytime real soon, because I think he needs to prepare more for a guy like Tank Davis. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. Tim Bradley kind of opens up and kind of calls out Shakur Stevenson, tells him to grow up and stop answering all this social media, and Shakur just isn't happy with Tim Bradley. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
That's going to do it for another NASFIGHT Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Manabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.